Deep in the Appalachian Hills, where fog kisses the trees at dawn and tradition runs as deep as the creeks that feed the hollers, Moonshiners, Master Distiller continues to showcase the bold, inventive spirit of backwoods ingenuity. On a recent episode, viewers watched as one moonshiner turned classic mountain know-how into a deliciously unexpected masterpiece. A blueberry and maple syrup spirit that blended rustic sweetness with a punch of southern authenticity. It was a creation that didn't just impress the judges. It redefined what modern moonshining can be for generations. Moonshiners have been known for making the most of what nature provides: corn, fruit, grains, and even tree sap transformed into liquid gold. This week's featured distiller, a woodsman known for his inventive streak, decided to honor both the forest and the farm with his combination of blueberries and maple syrup. These weren't store-bought ingredients either. The blueberries came from a family orchard that's been producing fruit for decades, while the syrup was tapped and boiled down by hand during the early spring run. As the still fired up and the first drops began to trickle through the copper coil, it became clear this wasn't your standard jar of clear shine. The mash had been carefully balanced, the tartness of blueberries working in harmony with the deep, woody sweetness of real maple syrup. It was a recipe that drew inspiration from old traditions while bringing a refreshing new flavor to the table. Moonshiners. Master Distiller Asterisk isn't just about making booze. It's about outsmarting the competition under pressure. Each distiller brings their own secret mash bill and must adapt to the show's unpredictable challenges. This round's theme was Forest to Flask, meaning contestants had to source inspiration and ingredients from the wild. The blueberry maple spirit stood out immediately. The distiller behind it was calm, deliberate, and deeply connected to his ingredients. His mash build was complex but balanced. A foundation of cracked corn for body, malted barley for enzyme conversion, and a healthy load of blueberries for fruit flavor. The maple syrup acted not just as a sweetener, but as a subtle binder, layering the spirit with a smoky, caramel undertone that only real maple can provide. Throughout the episode, viewers saw a craftsman at work, stirring the mash with a wooden paddle, monitoring temperature shifts with a flick of the wrist, and adjusting water flow by ear. There was no guesswork here, just instinct honed through years of quiet practice. When other contestants fretted over fermentation times or sugar levels, he simply nodded, trusting the natural yeast and his experience. Every episode of Master Distiller brings together moonshiners from across the country, some old hands, others rising stars. This competition was no different. One contestant went with a hickory-smoked bourbon, another with a pine-infused gin, but it was the blueberry maple entry that captured the judges' attention early. The distillers began with fermentation, a critical stage where sugar converts to alcohol. The sweet smell of fruit mixed with syrup filled the air. Fermentation bubbled steadily, and while others struggled with stalled batches or overly aggressive foaming, the blueberry mash worked like a charm. The sugar content was ideal, and the natural acidity of the fruit kept the process steady. Once distillation began, the challenge shifted to separation, the art of collecting the hearts and discarding the heads and tails. Too much head, and the product becomes harsh. Too much tail, and it turns bitter. But this moonshiner's steady hand and watchful eye paid off. He made his cuts perfectly, letting the clear, fragrant heart pour into a waiting mason jar. The aroma was instantly captivating, sweet, fruity, and rich with notes of toasted maple and a whisper of smoke from the copper still. When the judges finally gathered for tasting, they weren't sure what to expect. Blueberry and maple syrup is a combination more often found in pancakes than in liquor, but one sip changed everything. The spirit carried a deep, inviting aroma, blueberry jam mingling with maple wood, followed by a hint of vanilla and spice. On the palate, it was smooth and round, with just enough heat to remind you that this was moonshine, not dessert. One judge described it as breakfast in a jar. Another called it a new kind of Appalachian magic. The balance between fruit and syrup was spot on, not too sweet, not too tart. The finish lingered like warm syrup on a stack of flapjacks, with a gentle kick of corn whiskey beneath. It was complex but approachable, bold yet comforting. Part of what made this creation resonate so deeply wasn't just the taste, it was the story. The moonshiner shared that the recipe had been inspired by family tradition. His grandfather used to make a simple blueberry wine every summer, while his father tapped maple trees each March for syrup. Combining the two was his way of uniting generations through flavor. The spirit became not just a competition entry, but a family tribute, one that honored the land, the people, and the craft. This heartfelt connection to heritage is what sets Moonshiners, Master Distiller, apart from other reality competitions. It's not about fame or flash, it's about preserving and elevating a way of life. When the distiller lifted his jar for a final toast, you could sense the pride that runs through every moonshiner's bloodline, a pride built on resourcefulness, creativity, and respect for the natural world. Moonshining has always been a dance between old and new. While early shiners worked in secrecy to avoid revenues, today's distillers balance authenticity with experimentation. The blueberry maple spirit perfectly embodied this evolution. It took two time-honored Appalachian staples, fruit and tree sap, and turned them into something both nostalgic and fresh. The distiller talked about how modern tools have changed the process. Digital thermometers, stainless steel mash tuns, and precision hydrometers make consistency easier, but the soul of the shine still depends on feel. "You can't learn that from a screen," he said during a confessional clip. "You learn it from your hands, your nose, and your gut." After his win, the moonshiner revealed plans to refine his recipe for small batch production. The potential for a blueberry maple craft spirit in the commercial world is huge, especially with the growing market for flavored whiskeys and artisan moonshine. It bridges breakfast flavors and cocktail culture, perfect for sipping neat or mixing into a smoky old-fashioned or sweet Manhattan twist. Imagine a winter evening drink, a pour of blueberry maple shine over ice, garnished with a cinnamon stick and a slice of lemon. It's easy to picture this handcrafted liquor finding a home in high-end bars while staying true to its mountain roots. When the scores came in, there was little suspense. The blueberry maple spirit not only took the top prize, it did so unanimously. The judges praised the creator's balance of technical mastery and creativity, calling it one of the finest examples of modern moonshine ever made on the show. They highlighted its clean distillation, deep flavor integration, and emotional storytelling. It wasn't just about flavor, it was about how the spirit captured the essence of moonshining's evolution. In the old days, moonshiners made do with what they had. Today, they still do. But they're doing it with an eye toward artistry, sustainability, and legacy. This episode made that clear. As Moonshiners, Master Distiller continues to showcase innovative minds from across the country. The line between outlaw heritage and culinary craftsmanship keeps blurring. The blueberry maple spirit may very well signal the next phase of moonshining's revival. Small batch, locally sourced, and passionately made liquors that bring the wild into the bottle. Beyond its television moment, this creation speaks to a broader trend. Craft distilleries are looking to flavors that tell a story, ingredients that root spirits in place and tradition. The Appalachian Mountains have always offered that kind of inspiration, And moonshiners like this week's winner are proving that heritage can be both preserved and reinvented. As the episode faded out, the victorious moonshiner stood beside his still, jar in hand, smiling quietly at the steam rising through the cold mountain air. It wasn't just another win. It was a celebration of ingenuity, patience, and heart. He'd turned humble ingredients into something worthy of legend. The blueberry maple syrup spirit was more than just a drink. It was a taste of Appalachian history bottled for the modern age. With its notes of wild fruit, forest sweetness, and copper-born strength, it told the story of a land where every flavor has a past and every sip carries a piece of the mountain with it. For fans of moonshiners, Master Distiller, this episode reminded everyone why the show endures. It's not only about who can make the strongest shine, it's about who can make the most soulful one. And in the case of the blueberry maple creation, that soul was rich, sweet, and pure as the syrup that inspired it. The next time the stills fire up in those hidden hollows, you can bet this recipe will live on, quietly, proudly, and forever tied to the blue ridges and maple woods that made it possible. A true testament to the art of distilling, and a toast to the timeless craft of the American moonshiner.